trying to interrupt me as needed. I'm Sarah Lenher. I'm the program director, and I'm going to kind of take us through a introduction to the University of Utah Urology Residency Program. Welcome. You all have way more experience with these than we do, because we're not going around and watching all of these across the country. So we think we've got the technology figured out and everything, but thank you for coming to join us. And we hope that you'll enjoy meeting our residents, meeting some of our faculty. People are going to be popping in and out. So welcome. We'll go ahead and get rolling. So this is our virtual open house. This is the only one we're going to be doing. We figured we wanted to do it well and meet everybody we could, but a lot of information is out there on websites, and this is a little bit more of a personal approach to supplement the information that you can find on the internet and through all the Twitter feeds and everything like that. So the game plan for tonight, I'm going to have Dr. Myers do a little bit of an introduction. He's our chief of urology. We're a division at in the Department of Surgery at the University of Utah. And then Debbie and I are going to give a program overview. We think we've made it interesting, and again, more than what you're just going to find in a bunch of stats. You'll meet with our residents and anybody who wants to break out with the residents and have some one-on-one discussions. We will go ahead and facilitate that for you. We're recording this part, and it'll also be posted to our YouTube channel. But the part with the residents, you guys can feel free to be candid and ask them questions, and we're not going to be recording that. And there won't be any attendings present for the breakouts with the residents. So we want to reproduce what you guys would have if you were meeting with our residents the night before interviews or something like that. So I'm going to pass this over to Dr. Myers. I'm going to have him share the screen, but I got a couple candid shots to share with Dr. Myers, and most notably, I'm going to point out down here, Dr. Myers at our Zoom graduation in June donned a tuxedo, so he's got a lot of style. And I'm going to pass this over to Dr. Myers, to Jeremy.
Thank you very much, Sarah. I just had boxer shorts on with that tuxedo, but nobody.
You what? You felt awkward?
I only had boxer shorts on with the tuxedo. Oh. So let me start this presentation. Whoops.
It should let you do it, I hope.
I think so. Okay, I got this up, just a sec.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks for joining us. I think Utah is really a hidden gem. It certainly wasn't on my radar when I was applying for residency, and really it's expanded so much. And I think Sarah's going to talk a lot about the people we have working in Utah. But I've been here, this is my 12th year, and we've expanded really about half of our faculty again. So we have representation from every subspecialty in urology, and we really benefit from a vast geographic area. The burn surgeons are really popular, or they really like to say that we draw from a fifth of the geographic United States. And it's, I don't know if that's exactly true, but it's really a huge area. And like a lot of Western programs, we kind of benefit from being the best training program in the Intermountain West, being the only training program. And that's a little bit of a joke, but it kind of illustrates that if there's any bad pathology, serious tumors, etc., it's really sent down to University of Utah. So I think that you benefit from living in a relatively small city that's easy to navigate, relatively inexpensive compared to living on the West Coast, but still have this amazing training institution with really a diverse amount of surgical cases that you'll see. So let's see. So I kind of put this in this presentation, and this is kind of how I think about surgical training a bit. And it's often attributed to Buddha. It's your work is to discover your work, and then with all your heart, give yourself to it. And I think this is quintessential in medical training. You know, our becoming surgeons, becoming doctors is far more than just taking on a profession. It's a dedication, it's a lot of sacrifice. And at Utah, we really aim to be a place where you can discover and explore what it means to be a surgeon, what it means to be a urologist. And that's what we really hope to facilitate. We think about our mission as three parts or three pillars: teaching, clinical excellence, and research. And I think we have very strong pillars in all of these three. There's some innovative programs we have here. We've long been associated with the International Volunteers in Urology. And this is something that resident applicants have often brought up to me. You know, can they go on rotations? The founder of IVU Med was a pediatric urologist for many years at University of Utah, and her name's Catherine DeVries. And although she's retired from clinical medicine, she's still active here in global health. And so we have this very active partnership. We have residents every year. Austin and Matt, both our chief residents, have gone on trips that go on scholarship provided trips with IVU Med all over the world. I think they went to Vietnam and Africa, if I'm not mistaken. So this is a great opportunity and something we really support here. You can really learn so much about, you know, how surgery is provided in these limited resource settings and what really the global needs are for urology. And I think that's a really critical part of training for those that have interest. We're very active in research. We support approximately 20% or more of the Department of Surgery research portfolio. And I show this to kind of illustrate that. These are the number of grants that are submitted each year. One very active area is men's health and urologic reconstruction. But we have grants that are submitted in pediatrics, oncology, and adult urology across the board. And so this kind of illustrates the amount of research that we have going on. We've had a lot of growth, as I alluded to, and I think there are departments that are expanding, divisions that are expanding, and divisions that contract, and it's sort of a natural process. And we're really in a process of growth. And a lot of that has to do with sort of shifting demographics to academic practice. There are more urologists interested in academic practice because of the pressures on private practice. More patients shift to academic centers than private practice. But it also just has to do with the growth of Utah. Utah is one of the fastest growing areas in the country. And so we've grown as well. And that means a lot of young, energetic faculty. We have representation, as I mentioned, in every aspect of urology. We cover University of Utah, the Salt Lake City VA, Primary Children's Hospital, and then a sort of semi-private practice, not really, but a capitated healthcare system that's very large in Utah, which is very similar to Kaiser in Colorado and California, called Intermountain Healthcare. And residents rotate there with high-value mentors. The growth has funded a lot of very nice space to practice medicine. This is the Ambulatory Care Center, which opened this year. And we now have our main urology clinic here, as well as an outpatient operating room center. And this is attached to the hospital and really has created some beautiful clinic space for us. Another aspect that's opened is the Craig Nielsen Rehabilitation Hospital, which also opened about 3 or 4 months ago. And we have neurogenic bladder clinics led by Dr. Lenher here, and a very close collaboration with the rehabilitation doctors. we care for, or the rehabilitation center cares for about 3,000 spinal cord injured patients throughout the Intermountain West. So there's really quite a bit of experience with spinal cord injury and neurogenic bladder, which I think is a real plus to coming here if you develop an interest in that. And then the Huntsman Cancer Institute. This is one of the few centers in the country that's associated with a designated cancer institute. And I think there are only about 20 or 24 cancer institutes in the country. This has grown over time, as you can kind of see. It's now a 100-bed freestanding hospital with about 8 operating rooms. And there's another phase that's going up that'll be women's care, exclusively on focused around gynecologic cancer with some operating rooms and I think even inpatient rooms there. So this is a great resource, and a lot of residents rotate up there with the oncology division. This is what it looks like actually physically. And in the background, kind of near this arrow, is all of the Huntsman. This is where the new building for the Women's Care Center will be. And it sits right on the hill. This is the rehabilitation hospital. And then this is our new ambulatory care center. These are the helipads that we have kind of stretched over here. And it's our regional, the vast region that we cover. This is how a lot of patients reach us, is that they have, I think we have 5 helicopters, some of them stationed in Wyoming. There are 2 fixed wing aircraft for going further. And so we really get a lot of this regional transfers into our center. This is the main hospital. When the hospital is expanded, and I think it's about 750 beds now. So really a pretty big enterprise. This is our new Sugar House Clinic, which is about a 10-minute drive from University of Utah, and we've expanded our urology operations. So just showing a lot of growth. Salt Lake is a great place to live. This was from last year, but it shows the average rent for a place in Salt Lake, and at $1,500, that's, you know, a 2-bedroom kind of place or 1-bedroom place right downtown. So it's affordable compared to places like Boston. And I come from Boston, so I kind of put that up there to compare. You know, the residents can talk to you about whether they rent or own houses. Many of them do own houses, and that's feasible on their salary. There's actually a lot to do in Salt Lake, and I think Sarah will be kind of showing this. We've emerged as a really a very nice little metropolis. Even in the 12 years that I've been here, things have changed. I came here from San Francisco and was kind of a little depressed about the restaurant scene, you know, coming from San Francisco. And either my taste has gone way down or the restaurant scene has really improved. And I think it's actually the latter. There's a lot of stuff to do. This is a new performance arts center that opened up downtown and took over from an older facility. So enough to do in Salt Lake to keep anyone entertained during residency. And then, of course, the outdoors. When I came to interview at Utah, a friend dragged me out here, and I said, "Utah, really? I'm not going to Utah." And I was so impressed during my interview. And they told me, "You know what? It's only 30 minutes to this skiing." And I said, "Come on, that's BS." And we went up and timed it, my wife and I, and it was 27 minutes to the base of Alta. And so really there is so much opportunity to explore what Utah has to offer, whether you like to hike, whether you like to trail run, whether you like to just be outdoors and camp. You can really do anything you like on the time that you have off. And I think there's plenty of time for you to explore, plenty of weekends that you have off, etc. You know, these are some of my trips. This is up in the Wind Rivers in Wyoming, which is just 4 hours away. And these are some llamas and a llama trip I take with some friends every year and my children. And this is canoeing down Labyrinth Canyon with my kids and Dr. Hoteling, who's our infertility doctor, and some of his kids. And these are just an example of some of the things that I've done with my family over time, and you can really do so much. More outdoor shots, and you'll see lots of these shots from people exploring and showing what they love about Utah. I think that's something that's really great about our program too, is that it has a very West Coast feel. It has a very family feel to me. It's not a very formal place. And I think that's really good for fostering a good work-life balance and collaboration. And this is a scene from a couple years ago at our fellows graduation with some of the chief residents and just having a great time. And there's a lot of this, I think, in Utah, and I think the residents really have a great collegial environment amongst themselves, are very close friends for the most part, and I think collaborate really well with the staff here. So that's all I have, Sarah, and I will sign off. And I'm very happy to stay on and answer any questions. And, I'm excited to see how this goes. And thanks so much for making the time to make this webinar.
Thank you, Jeremy. Okay, everyone. I'm going to jump back on here. Am I shared? Almost. There we go. I think that looks right. Yes. Okay. Thank you again. So like I said, I'm Sarah Lenher. I'm the program director, and thank you everyone for taking your evenings to come and hang out with us a bit. I became the program director right as COVID hit. I was transitioning into this role, so I'm officially new as of July. And I never expected in my wildest dreams that I'd be having to help you guys as applicants navigate this process into your urology residency, because I recall how much it really meant a lot to me to go to different places and experience and meet the people, develop relationships, and learn about these different places across the country. And I hope that in the future, you're all able to go and see what the hotel is like in the middle of the Cleveland Clinic, and all these different things that you learn about the robotic room at in Detroit. I mean, there are lots of different famous things on the trail that you kind of start to remember. And so I want to provide enough of an informative and engaging and interesting presentation about our program, so you can experience that feeling of being able to go to the program and really have a genuine understanding of what we're really about, because all we're here to do is to build a team for training. And our residents are on this call. They want to help pick you guys as the right next team members for them. And we really want to make sure that you enjoy your time as trainees. These are just a couple pictures of me, my kids, and my husband. That top picture up here in the upper left-hand corner is right behind the hospital, overlooking the valley. My kids and my husband sitting there looking out on a spring day. So vital stats, we're a 5-year residency program. Like Jeremy said, we cover all the specialties in all different types of practice settings. One of the things that's new and up and coming is transgender surgery. We have a very comprehensive multidisciplinary transgender program. Microsurgery, I know I didn't get trained in microsurgery when I was a resident, and all of these other specialties. We are the only residency in Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, Nevada, and Montana in urology. And we'll talk about the research exposure opportunities, high case volumes, very clinically busy. We basically had to do the talks this late because I'm sure the residents wouldn't have been able to join us if we went on any sooner. And to clarify, yes, we will be accepting 3 residents for this upcoming application cycle, because we do alternate between 2 and 3 so far in our history. Our program hospitals, like Jeremy showed the maps of, University Hospital, you can walk to that. Huntsman, you can walk to that. Salt Lake, City Veterans Administration, so the VA, really a place where you get to emphasize your own independent decision-making surgically. Primary Children's, again, walk to that. And then Intermountain is that private practice rotation that you get to drive to. But otherwise, everything is pretty centralized on the same campus. The VA is technically across the street, and most people drive over there, but it's still walkable if you wanted to. The resident rotations are approximately broken up here. This is our current resident rotation because of the distribution of the residents we have. Things to note, so this is the PGY years here in the columns, and then this is 12 months basically broken out across the year. As interns, we're currently having our interns do 6 months of urology, and then they do 6 months of general surgery topics such as the surgical intensive care unit. As you go to your second year, you get broken out to 3 of the major rotations. And then pediatrics starts in your 3rd and 4th years, again with a mix of other rotations. And then your chief year, you are the chief in oncology at the University Hospital and at the VA. These rotations fluctuate according to how many residents we have in the different alternating years. And going forward, we'll be having 3 every single year. Our conferences are pretty standard. They're run by the chief residents. We have attending participation, and of course now everything is Zoom. So here's some screenshots of the last couple of months of meetings that we've had. The chief residents have been doing a Jeopardy meeting, and right now we're competing. The university group gets together and the VA group gets in one room, and they have Jeopardy battles across Zoom right now, and then attending lectures as shown down here. Like Jeremy alluded to, the patient population, this was a question that came up when you guys sent us questions, and I've interspersed these throughout the talk. The patient populations on the different rotations do vary, but it's really based on the fact that we cover this Intermountain West. So here's Salt Lake City here in Utah, and we really cover a lot of Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Eastern Nevada, and Northern Arizona at times. And so this is the majority of our catchment area, and the University of Utah website officially says that it's greater than 10% of the continental United States. So we have a very large catchment area. The insurance status really doesn't matter too much to us. At a public teaching hospital, we take everybody. However, the interesting thing is, because of this large catchment area and because of insurance variations, we have a lot of pathology. We'll have pathology that sometimes would have presented in a third world country because patients live in such remote areas or reservations that they haven't sought any medical care. And so there's a lot of pathology that does present because of this diverse population. Our faculty are generally listed here, but just so you can see the adult urology breakdown, the oncology breakdown, pediatric urology, and then we do have specialized faculty in research that are listed here that actually just perform research and support our research endeavors. And then we have, I'll talk later about our reconstructive fellows, pediatric fellows, and men's health fellows. We also have several research fellows here with us. This is the real point that I want to drive home. We've all trained all across the country. This is the faculty medical school and residency programs that we have all attended. And you can see it's all over the country. It's all of those big, huge names that you're hoping you can get interviews at. And we have all trained there in different stages of our careers. And we understood what the value of those programs are, and we reproduce that here at the University of Utah. And we really think that we provide a unique experience because of our large diversity. And then when we went on to fellowships, this is where we all did our fellowship training. Again, all the big programs in the country, and we have that fellowship experience and diversity to bring back to Utah. One of you guys sent us a question. Can you tell us about resident autonomy and progression? And so this is really getting to the point that your intern year, you're really getting your feet wet. You're learning how to manage patients and operating. I hear Sharon Lowe actually tweeted out her case log for her intern year. So she was very busy her intern year surgically. And then when you're on these different rotations, you learn how to be under close supervision when you're starting out, and then you start to progress and gain additional responsibility. By your third year, you're actually a chief on certain services, so you have a lot of responsibility. You'll take residents through some call cases, you'll take residents through other types of cases. Generally speaking, I can't speak to all of the different attendings, but every attending has a different style. Some will be more focused on teaching you the finer points of a procedure and really making sure that you replicate it every single time. And others will be more in tune with granting you autonomy and having you sweat a little bit, and making you really try to push your own limits. The other thing is that based off of our training, over the past 10 years, about 2/3 of our graduates go on to get additional fellowship training, but 1/3 go on to general practice immediately. So it just definitely goes to show you that our residents feel very qualified in being able to go on and go into direct practice. But in academic medicine these days, most places will really want you to have fellowship training. So those residents that go on and get additional fellowship training, it's just to refine skills and make sure that they can get a job in academic medicine. There's also a question that came out about the fellows. And so we do have 3 fellows. Right now we have a pediatrics fellow, which is an ACGME fellowship. We have, so that's 2 years, a male infertility and andrology fellow, which is a 1-year non-ACGME fellow, and then a GERS fellow, which is 1 to 2 years. Right now we're probably transitioning to a 2-year fellowship, but again, this is non-ACGME. So the non-ACGME fellows do have attending privileges. And then there's a question about what's the relationship between the residents and the fellows. Down here in the bottom right-hand corner here, I have a picture of Sharon and I'm sorry, Suzanne and Neha, our fellow from last year, our pediatrics fellow. They tend to become very close. And I think that there's a lot of expectations set up in the operating room to say, okay, well, this fellow is going to do this portion of the case, and then the resident is going to do this portion of the case. So we try to set up that expectation so there's no strife between the different residents. For research, Dr. Myers touched on some of the details about our research program. You guys asked, can you discuss research opportunities and resources available to residents that are interested in conducting research? Are there biostatisticians available? Do you have monthly research meetings? So I'll just start off by saying we have national leaders in multiple research consortiums across the country and in our group. Dr. Myers was one of the founding members of the TURNS, the Trauma and Urologic Reconstructive Network of Surgeons, and NBRIDGE, which is the Neurogenic Bladder Research Group, which I also participated. We also have multiple NIH funded grants across our group, and there's funded research in every single one of our subspecialties listed down here. So this is a really important aspect because with funding, then we can offer opportunities for our residents. We also have paid fellowships in reconstructive urology and oncology, which many people take advantage of. And this really helps you as residents actually work with these research fellows and develop relationships, and you guys can share products and work on projects together, and you don't necessarily have to be writing every single aspect of it. And then there is a financial incentive for publishing papers. So if you write a paper, pre-COVID, it was $500 per paper, and I think that's still standing. But any papers that you publish is a benefit.
Take care. Hey,
Oh, it's Summers. Hold on,
yeah, no
I
problem.
gotta beat Summers.
Yeah, no problem. All right, see you later.
Hold on, gotta find Summers. Steve, can you mute? Okay, I think he's muted. The other thing I have down here is a shining light down here in the corner. This is Elizabeth Lignell. We do have Elizabeth, who is our residency coordinator, but she's also runs all of our research endeavors as our research coordinator. And we have 2 additional research coordinators that work very closely with her. So we have the research support to help you with IRBs, to help you with some of the administrative hurdles that can get in the way when you're trying to get some projects off the ground. So I have Elizabeth down here in the shining light because she is one of our angels who helps keep everything in order for us and helps things get moving forward. There was a question, is there a formal mentorship program? Yes, I'm just going to touch on this briefly. We started this in July when I became the program director. And we're really trying to pair junior residents with faculty members early on so they can discuss their concerns, any issues that they come up with, discuss their career development plan, and then as that goes on through the years of their residency, they can switch and develop other types of relationships. But this is just something that we're trying to initiate to meet any needs of the residents going through. IVU Med was touched upon because that was one of the questions that you guys had. Any opportunities to do any international medical trips? These are pictures from Austin when he went to Vietnam last year. I believe it was late last year. And I think Andrew's trip was canceled because of COVID. So we'll hopefully be able to have him go out sometime again soon. But IVU Med is very close, works very closely with us, and we will figure out a way for you to be able to go if you want to go. Culture. What's the relationship between residents and attendings like? That was one of the questions that came through. I've put some snapshots on here. Down here is one of our, this was probably Matt when he was an intern with one of our attendings, Glenn Lau. Here's our, this is Pat Cartwright. He's our former chief of urology. This is Chris Deckett, one of our oncologists, out for a bike race, actually, with 2 of our residents. And then over here, this was a tweet that came out over Labor Day weekend. Austin Slade, who has a very nice head of red hair, said that he would shave his head if we hit 10 OR cases over the weekend, because he was on with the 2 black clouds, both of whom do not have any hair. So I think we have definitely a good relationship with our attendings. And then for resident wellness, these are some activities that have taken place over the last year. This was the escape room where we got funding for our residents to go and do a competition and do an escape room. And then they went and had a nice funded dinner on somebody else's dime down the street. They did social axe throwing. And I think that this was one of the biggest hits of their year. And then this slide, this shot is a little bit, this map down here in the bottom right-hand corner is unfortunately from 2015. There's no more updated data that I could find on this, but it shows that the happiest residents, not just urology, but all residents, happiest residents are specifically in some states, including Utah. But the other thing you'll notice up here is when you look up above us in Idaho, Wyoming, and Montana, there's not enough data to calculate because there's no residencies there. So all those patients come down and hang out with us. So it definitely gives us a lot of good volume and good, interesting pathology to take care of. So I'm going to switch a little bit to some more information about our residents. First of all, this is, we're trying out a new logo. We're going to we're gonna get this printed up, get some stickers and stuff printed up. So this is one version of our logo that's come out, but we're kind of having a little bit of a debate if the other version of it is a little bit too PG-13 for the big screen. But our urology residents are banding together, and we have some good branding that we're trying to get going. So we appreciate any votes that you want to lend one way or another. So where do our residents come from? So again, everybody comes from all over. We have a great diversity in our resident population. A lot of people sometimes have some ties to Utah, but not necessarily. I'd say the majority of us feel like we're transplants, which is a good thing, but you can see that diversity there. I'll direct you to our website. There's a link there called Work Hard, Play Hard if you want to know a little bit more about all the diversity of activities in Salt Lake City. When Debbie Jacobson, the Associate Program Director, came through, she's here, her husband's working remotely a lot. She's like, what is there to do in Salt Lake City? So she started asking the residents, and before we knew it, we had a huge list of all different sorts of activities. And I was telling her to go sheepdog herding, and she's like, what? And you can go to the elk run and all sorts of things. Anyhow, the university actually found out about this list that we had on our personal website, and they took it over. So if you click on this on our urology website, it'll take you to the website for the entire university, where we've compiled all this data and given it to the university because they were so impressed. We also have our Instagram page and our Twitter feed. We try to be active with it. We try to really stay on top of it, but sometimes we're really busy and we're out there doing things, and sometimes they're not cell phone reception. So we'll try to post things when we get back into town. These are some things that Sharon mostly posted this weekend and a couple weeks ago before this. I think Sharon was down in Zion last week. And then this was a bike ride that some of the residents had done up one of the canyons right after work. One of the questions that comes up, where do most of the residents live? So this is a map of Salt Lake City. Downtown is down here. The main hospital is right here in this little tab here. And then I've marked, and then here's the VA, so right across the campus. And then I've marked where all the residents live. And so you can see they're all pretty close because this is just 2 miles. So you're not going to be navigating your way across complex bridges or anything like that. Everybody's pretty close. Everybody can get right there. And then, you'll notice there's this density of downtown here, and it's really nice tree-lined streets and stuff. And here are the mountains right here. These are the canyons. This is where you go right up to all the ski resorts and everything like that. So you're right there. Question, do most of the residents rent, or have some been able to buy a home? So 3 have bought, the rest rent. So this is out of 12 residents. Question, how do the residents get around the city? So most people for work, I'll clarify, most people for work, they drive, but then a handful run, and then some other ones, it really depends on the weather, depends on other factors, but there are some options there. Favorite local ski resort? That was another question that was sent to us. What's the favorite local ski resort? I have to say there was quite a bit of diversity here. So Alta, Snowbird, and Park City had the most votes. And then the rest you can see is quite a diversity. And only one of our residents doesn't ski. I do not ski. Many of our faculty do not ski. You don't have to ski, but if you're into skiing, that is an option for you. So I'll talk a little bit about our residents, and then I'll pass things over to them. Do the residents want to add anything in right there to start? I'll keep on going, and I'll go.
Oh, looks great.
Who was that? Was that Austin?
This is Austin. It's fun to see the results of our polls.
It was high security to keep.
I like to think about who picked each one of those. You may be able to tell. The only thing to add is that Mitch wasn't on our home little map. He was somewhere across the city that would have been not to scale.
He is not. So Mitch is over in West Valley, and I'd already made my map. So Mitch is somewhere over here off the side of the screen. And he did buy, so he was on the 3 that bought. Anything
And
else?
why didn't Brighton make it onto the list? Come on, guys.
Nobody voted for Brighton. Is that the one that, yeah, Brighton wasn't on there, right?
Snow borders.
Sometimes
Yeah.
people get in fist fights there, but they also get in fist fights at Deer Valley, so.
Very different vibe to those fist fights, though.
Fist fights?
Yeah, there was one at like Brighton last year and at Deer Valley, so it has nothing to do with the clientele.
And Deer Valley is where Gwyneth Paltrow, I believe, was famously ran into somebody that claimed that they caused bodily harm and are suing her.
The difference between the fist fights at Brighton and Deer Valley is one is fueled by PBR and the other one is like fueled by VUV. Or
Chris doesn't know any expensive alcohols.
Legitimately, you caught me.
Anything that we need to address in the chat just yet?
No.
Okay. I don't know what number 2 is. I can't figure out from the chats. Too many things going on there. I'll go back to that. Okay. Okay. So so for our interns, we have Zach Pfeiffer and Soren Kehani. Soren was our reconstructive and men's health research fellow for the last 3 years. And he did his medical degree training in Iran. And he has been a great addition to our program and really became part of our family. And so we're so happy to see him on the operative side now. Zach Pfeiffer just jumped over the mountain from the University of Colorado to join us. So he didn't have too many borders to jump during COVID. Next up, the PGY2s, otherwise known as Dr. Maswallow. Sharon Lowe here is in the middle, Matt Swallow and Laurel Mast. Sharon came to us from the University of Florida, so she's representing the entire state of Florida for us. Matt came from Yale, and Sharon came, Laurel came from OHSU, and so these are some shots that they asked me when I told them to give me some candids of themselves. And I think this actually was Sharon this weekend, or at least it seemed like it was. Our PGY3s, Mitch Heiner is here with his wife and his lovely daughter. Mitch did his medical school training at the Mayo Clinic. And then Chris Martin came here from the University of Texas at Houston, but he was our research fellow for 1 year, Chris. Yeah, 1 year as our oncology fellow, our oncology research fellow. And this is the largest bladder stone that he has taken out. So this was a cystophilopaxy that he very proudly presented to me. Our PGY4s are Jake Basilius right here, and Suzanne Lang and Andrew Mazzoni. So Jake came to us from the University of Utah. So he's our one resident who trained here. Suzanne came from Indiana University and Andrew came from Rush, so representing the Midwest here. This is Andrew actually in one of his COVID pappers. So they send me goofy pictures when they're all dressed up in their COVID gear. And then our chief residents, Matt Armstrong joined us from Baylor, where he did his medical school training. And Austin Slade came from the University of Texas at Houston also. And so here is Matt and Austin and some of their kids. So welcome. And then let's see, what do I have? Oh yeah, so when I started as the program director a couple of months ago, I went to our residents and I did this survey at a meeting with them, and I said, what do you think is an exceptional aspect of our residency? And this is what they typed in. This was all free text. This is their word cloud. And you'll notice down here, Elizabeth gets a shout out too in here. But you'll notice that our strengths are really this location, our operative volume, the faculty, the breadth of training, OR time, co-residence, teamwork. Jake Basilius got a little shout out also, just because. And so anyhow, this is what our residents
Jake
came up with.
Basilius got more than faculty.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
looks a lot bigger.
yeah. That is true. I think it kind of became a little bit of a bandwagon thing, but this is the reality of having word cloud. And so this was just something that the residents and I were talking about, and what they valued, and I wanted to share this with you as a little bit of evidence that we're not just putting on a rosy face and telling you all the nice things that you want to hear. We think that we actually do have that value in giving you excellent surgical training. And so with that, I want to offer you guys the time to ask any questions of me, Dr. Myers, and Dr. Jacobson. But I do want to push you along to some breakout rooms quickly, because I think that is of a lot of value for you all. Oh yeah, let's see. Yeah, and I want to give some hellos to some faculty here. So Dr. Lau, Glenn Lau's on there. Glenn, can you say hi? Hold on, I'm gonna stop share and go back to my.
Hey, everybody. Just want to give
there's
you some
Glenn.
mountains in the background here. It's a nice
Are you at
place
your
out here.
house?
Yeah, this is my backyard.
Perfect. Kelly Gross is here somewhere. She's one of our new faculty. She did her fellowship here, and she is joining us as faculty now.
Okay, so feel free to reach out with any questions or anything. I'm happy to answer anything. I do men's health, male infertility, sexual medicine, and so forth.
I think, yeah, and I think Steve Summers jumped on, and then it sounded like he was in the OR, so he jumped back off. And then, of course, Elizabeth. Where is Elizabeth? Oh, there she is. She's up there on the right. She's waving. It's on my right-hand corner. Thank you, Elizabeth, for everything that you do for us and helping us navigate residency and research and everything.
You're welcome.
Everyone
I love it. I've been here 31 years this year.
Wow, that's amazing.
We appreciate everything you do.
Okay, perfect. Any questions that anybody wants to, well, residents, any comments? Did I screw up anything? I know you'll be honest with me.
During this presentation, both Suzanne and I have been referred to as Sharon. We've just accepted our new identities. We are now Sharon.
All girls are the same.
Be worse.
Whatever. Get over it.
You could call me like Andrew.
Is Sharon even on? She's returning my pages for me right now.
Wait, there's two different people? I was just gonna say, you had mentioned, well, before I'll preface this, I've noticed when I was on my interviews, they would often have like a dinner beforehand where they do an open house like this, a candid time to talk to the residents. And some of the programs, gosh, those residents were rolling in pretty late, and you had an idea of what their quality of life was like. And Dr. Leonard mentioned, she said, oh, you know, the residents wouldn't be able to join in if we started any earlier. And I want to slightly dispel that. We have one really, really busy rotation at the university hospital where those residents, there they are, you know, down in the workroom. You work hard while you're there, but talking to our own medical students, we're like, gosh, it seems like I work so hard and this is terrible, because all they ever experienced was, and I shouldn't say terrible, but work long hours, because all they ever experienced was life at the university hospital, which is our flagship hospital. But I added up all my duty hours. I went through my calendars and showed them. And the truth is that we average about 65 hours a week, pretty much across the board every year. So the university makes up about a quarter of at least my time during residency. So, obviously depends where you're at. Right now, I'm at the Veterans Hospital, and we're probably, pulling around anywhere between 40 to 60 on a given week, but averaging close to 50. So most of the time on most of your rotations, you're going to be home in time for dinner. There's time to go out in the evening and do things you want to do, but the university service is a busy service, and it's good to have that experience too. So it's well balanced. It certainly comes out in the wash in the end. So most of our residents would have been here had we started it earlier.
And I
still would have been operating.
The other thing I'd say with Austin being here, like going into our 5th year, I feel like my life's been pretty good, but at the same time, I think I'll come out and be a competent surgeon. Like I've had enough operating and enough autonomy to do that. And the thing I would say is, I told my wife this the other day. We've been married for 11 years. I said, "You're even better than I thought you'd be." And I thought she'd be great, but she's been awesome. And I would say the same thing about our residency, to be honest, is it's been better than I expected. And not that I expected it to be bad. I expected it to be good. But I think the amount of autonomy we get and our work-life balance and our co-residents, like it's been good. Residency is going to be hard wherever you go. But the other aspects of your life, if you can have those good co-residents, good faculty, good places to live, it's going to make your experience better.
Anything else that you want to make sure everyone hears on the group, guys? Okay, I'll go ahead. I'm going to break you guys out to some breakout rooms. This will take me a second to sort 46 people into rooms, but I think I'll be able to handle it. And ask whatever questions you all want, and then feel free to reach out to us for anything else you might need down the road. And we're gonna, all the attendings are gonna be leaving for your breakout rooms. In 2 weeks, we're gonna be doing a virtual journal club. I'll be sending out information for that. We'll be tweeting it out again, so you can register and join that if you're so inclined, and you'll be able to interact with some more faculty about their subspecialty areas. So keep an ear to the ground, or I don't know, Twitter or something like that. And thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your enthusiasm, and I'll push you guys out to some rooms. Don't feel obligated to stay, but the residents are there to talk about anything you guys want, okay? Manually. And
I feel like I'm waiting to get chosen.
Are you gonna be
I volunteer as tribute.
I know,
Yeah.
exactly.
Austin, you're a total Hufflepuff. That's where you're getting sorted into.
It's the rapture.
I think he's more a Slytherin.
Hey, I'm a very proud Hufflepuff.
Just don't put me in one room with like one student. Do better.
Because we know not to leave you alone with anyone.
It's on the restraining order.
Okay.
Is this going to be like random?
Yeah, it's random. I'm just trying to get all the.
Are you going to alternate it? Is it going to be like
You, on the other hand.
Is Jake gonna be with one student?
She just hung him up. That was.
Fine. Hold on. I hope I don't come up uneven. Okay, and
Are you sure this works?
it
Oh, yeah,
does.
people are dropping like flies.
my favorite thing will be like one student getting excluded. Like
It's like getting
Like, oh,
kicked last
didn't
for kickball.
Okay,
Knows how to do this.
goodbye. Goodbye. you go.
Everybody's still there.
They all go away.